Okay, let's talk about responsive style sheets. So here is a file, and I've just got this one CSS import here that goes to a file called style.css. It's just some nonsense content with a few paragraphs and a couple of headings and a block quote. So it looks like that. So watch this. This is the in a Firefox anyway. If you do Command Alt M, you toggle mobile mode or responsive design mode or something like that. So if I do it again, you'll see that the text went from normal to italic, right? So what's going on there? So if I go back to this guy, you can resize the page, right? So if I cross 800 pixels wide, then the text changes, right? 800, 801. Okay, so this is the basic principle behind what people call responsive design. So if I look at this guy again, we'll see how that works. So you can see that I have two of these @media. These are called media queries, CSS media queries, and basically what they mean is that it doesn't know how to highlight. Okay, so yeah, so this is your normal CSS. Like if I normal CSS rules, right? They're kind of wrapped in this extra layer, and you can put constraints on those nestings, and those are what you use to determine which rules will apply for a given screen size. So I just added some background color here, so you'll see that it comes out as red because we are at 800 pixels here, right? If I make it a little smaller, it's still red. But if I go past 800, then here it says min width of 800, then this rule is going to apply, and it'll turn green and also do the italics. So let's see here, and there it is. So notice that this one says apply these rules up until 800 pixels. That's what this max width means. And this one means anything greater than 801 pixels, you're going to apply these rules. So it's as if they're two separate style sheets. So you can actually do this in more than one way, but my current thinking is that it makes sense to do these @media rules just for sort of major layout. So you probably wouldn't use it for backgrounds or even for something like font styles. You would use it for major sort of like, suppose you wanted to have your, so in a small size you would want to say maybe display flex, oh no, display block for the body. But in a wider screen, you might want to say display flex. And then you could make your main content be like flex 3. And then let's say we have an aside down here, which would be flex 1. And yeah, so let's put those in. So we'll say, let's put this into an aside. Just make this an aside instead of a, I don't know how much sense this makes, but okay, let's imagine that this is our layout now. So we've got, let's look at it in the inspector so we can see what's going on here. And to start with, I'm going to remove this thing. I'm going to remove all the CSS, and so now we're back to normal CSS. We'll go back to this guy just so we can look at what's going on here. So in the body tag, we have two children, an aside and the main, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is, if the screen is large enough, we're going to have a 2-column layout. And if it's not, then we'll just have a 1-column layout. So let's see what happens if this works. Yeah, it does. Okay, so let's, first thing we need to put a little padding on here because I am sensitive like that. Okay, so that's a little better. So if we put a background well, actually, let's not. So watch this. If I now resize this guy to where it's lower than 800, you should see, yeah, we should see it break. So you probably wouldn't do this with a quote like that. Matter of fact, you almost certainly wouldn't. You would want to have this maybe be like a block quote. Just leave that there. But in our side, you might have it like, well, let's say we have a nav table here. So we've got well, let's say H2. Let's make some faux Latin, right? Turn that into a list. This will turn that. No, it won't. Don't worry about what's going there. It just generated some HTML. Okay, so this guy, now we just have this nav bar with a list. It could probably be links, whatever. So we're going to just change that rule to work on the nav instead of an aside. Yes, and that's it. All right, so that's probably what you would see, right? Like that's a table of contents. Not quite wide enough, is it? Let's make it 2. Yeah. Okay, so in a small screen, let's put a comment here, because you have to sort of visually, mentally parse what those numbers mean. So in a large screen, we can have it on the sidebar. In a small screen, what we want to do is say to that OL, we want you to display as a flex. And we'll say each of those list elements should have a flex of 1, and they should be text align center. Let's see if this works. All right, it didn't work. Didn't have it. Did that work? Nope. Okay, something's wrong. Where is an? Oh, it's a UL. Well, let's make it an OL. Okay, so you can see that this is maybe not the best idea either, but you get the idea that it's starting to look like the kind of outline that you would see on a newspaper site or something. Yeah. So that could be useful in a cell phone, right? If you had a really small site with just a few headings, that could work. So that's the basic principle. That's the beginning of what you would need to do a responsive design. So the tricky part with this stuff, to me, is figuring out where those breakpoints should be. So in this system, we've got what we call a breakpoint at 800 pixels. Is 800 pixels a sensible breakpoint? That's a question that I don't really have an answer for. I don't know.